Finance official denounces cuts to the government's 2025 budget as the most corrupt in the country's history.
But the Philippines has outstanding debt projected to balloon to a record 17.35 trillion pesos in 2025.
Is the Philippines quietly heading toward a financial disaster? While politicians smile on camera and government agencies release optimistic figures, there's a growing sense of unease that something is terribly wrong. The signs are there, but almost no one is talking about it, at least not in public. Let's begin with what they want us to believe. The economy is growing. The government points to GDP growth, remittances from overseas workers, and the return of foreign investors as proof that everything is under control. But behind these numbers lies a very different story, because while GDP is rising, so are prices. Inflation in the Philippines has remained stubbornly high, hitting ordinary Filipinos where it hurts most, at the market. A kilo of rice, once a cheap staple, is now nearing luxury status for many. Prices of vegetables, meat, and even canned goods are rising almost every month. Meanwhile, wages have remained flat. The minimum wage in Metro Manila still doesn't reflect the true cost of living, and outside the capital, it's even worse. The result? Families are working longer hours, juggling multiple jobs just to survive. Credit card debt is climbing. Loans are being taken out, not for business or investment, but to buy food. People are borrowing just to eat. Now let's talk about debt. Government debt. The national debt of the Philippines has now crossed 15 trillion pesos. That's a staggering number. And it's not just the size of the debt that's alarming, it's how fast it's growing. Every second, the country is sinking deeper and deeper into loans. Much of this borrowing happened during the pandemic, which is understandable. But what's worrying now is that debt continues to rise even as pandemic restrictions have ended. So where is all this borrowed money going? Ask any Filipino if they've seen major improvements in transportation, education, or healthcare. Most will shake their heads. Roads are still clogged, trains are unreliable, public hospitals are overcrowded, and students are dropping out because they can't afford to stay in school. It raises a chilling question. Is the government borrowing money just to keep the lights on? Another red flag is the weakening peso. Although it fluctuates, the Philippine peso has struggled to stay strong against the US dollar. This might not sound like a big deal, but it is, especially in a country that imports a massive amount of oil, food, and raw materials. A weak peso means higher costs for everything we import. And guess who ends up paying for that? The average Filipino. Add to that the looming threat of global economic slowdown. China, one of the Philippines' biggest trading partners, is dealing with its own financial troubles. If China's economy weakens, Philippine exports could suffer. Fewer exports mean less income, fewer jobs, and more pressure on our fragile economy. And yet, despite all of this, there's silence. Why aren't more people talking about this? Some experts say it's because the government doesn't want to cause panic. Others believe it's because many Filipinos have been desensitized to struggle. We're used to making do. We survive no matter what. But surviving is not the same as thriving. We're told to be patient, to trust the process, that change is coming. But how long do we wait before we realize that we're walking toward a cliff? There are also whispers, rumors of potential banking instability, rising default rates, private sector loans not being repaid, small businesses still recovering from lockdowns are now being hit with higher costs, higher taxes, and fewer customers. Some are shutting down quietly, others are just barely hanging on. And what happens if another shock hits? What if oil prices spike again? What if interest rates rise? What if another global crisis erupts? Can the Philippines survive another blow? Or are we already stretched to our limits? The scariest part of all this isn't that we're heading toward a crisis, it's that we might already be in one, and no one is calling it what it is. This isn't fear-mongering, it's reality. Every sign points to a storm brewing just over the horizon, but instead of preparing for it, we're pretending it doesn't exist. The truth is, financial crises don't happen overnight. They build slowly, brick by brick, peso by peso, until the pressure becomes too much and the system collapses. And when that happens, it's always the poor who suffer the most. So if you're watching this thinking, it's already hard enough, ask yourself, what if this is just the beginning? If you found this video helpful or eye-opening, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into what's really happening in the Philippines, and tap the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching and stay informed.